So if I'm a up and coming artist and my music is mainly hip hop, drill music, like how willing are y'all to work with different artists?
Oh man.
Or like, can you sign an artist who just raps about killing and genocide and all that crap? Or do you kind of only work with artists who are likewise?
Yes, I will say this.
Yeah.
And he knows how I feel about this.
Yeah.
And I'll let you speak a bit. But my biggest thing, and I always say to their artists, don't come up here saying some stuff that you don't live.
Mm.
If you don't live it, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you talking about you about to take these banana clips and you have banana clips and you shower this place and you stay with your mom, man. I've actually seen you don't do that. You're just trying to act hard, but that's not really like, or you probably do have these, but you don't go around doing that.
That's the big
you gotta talk your life. And honestly, I don't really do too much of that style rap producing. I do. But you can tell when you meet the artist of what you're getting into. So I already know if I want to deal with them.
As for me, when I produce, I've worked with almost anybody you could think of. Anybody off the block, anybody trying to make a sound, anybody who is about that life, says they about that life, or wants to say they about that life.
Especially when you up and coming, because you just want your sound to be heard. But once you get where you at, you can pick and choose. Like, no.
I've had my hand in the pot of a lot of artists, and I see a lot of potential in everybody. But again, my biggest thing is that you, first off, don't bring it to the studio. Like you can bring your emotions and all that to the studio, but don't bring that stuff out. Like, don't bring that stuff inside, because once you do, it turns everything, on its head where it shouldn't be, and you're getting people who aren't about that life involved into it.
I was just gonna say that. So say if you guys like sign an artist or work with an artist that's basically what he raps about, and he really does live that life.
Right.
But he's putting y'all lives in danger. Because the people he rapping about that he didn't shot and stabbed and did that, they coming at all y'all. They feel like y'all together.
And that leads back to what I said before. When I meet this artist, I would know if I want to work with this person or not.
Yeah.
And I would pick and choose. And look, I'm gonna say, look, man, I see what it is. That's just not me. I'm not gonna make that music for you.
Right.
If you find somebody else that probably will.
And
so that way it keeps. Because what we're trying to set also is I guess the word I'm looking for is a
positive light,
culture and the right culture.
A positive light in a more often than not mixed bag of a culture.
It's a perfect example. It's like you're trying to get the right locker room. It's like a team. I keep going back to sports, but certain coaches. You see coaches of certain teams have a certain kind of culture. For prime example, the New Orleans Saints. What was the last New Orleans Saints that you knew player that got in legal trouble?
Legal trouble?
Don't see it often, because the culture that they started, that Sean Payton started, their locker room, are the kind of players that they bring in. They're already bringing certain kind of players. So that culture that they have, you don't really hear about a Saints player really getting in a lot of trouble. I mean, they may have trouble on the field, performing, which that's a whole different thing. But as for like legal trouble, it happens a lot in the NFL, but not too often you see a Saints player. But I'm just using that team as an example, but there are other teams like that don't have a lot of players getting in trouble. So what I'm trying to get at, the same aspect for what we try to bring to a label is certain culture that you're trying to keep.
There's specific people that are out there who are in those predicaments, who are in those troubled times, that are trying to get out, that are trying to make better for themselves, that are taking this serious, that are really passionate about the music and trying to separate their lives from that. Those are the people that most people would be willing to help and put them on that pedestal, put them on that level. You know what I mean? Like people who are really deeply invested in the music and nothing else. If somebody raps that they're about that life, or they've been about that life, that's how they carry themselves, because that's all they've known. So it's like when they get involved in music and they see how much it pulls out of them and how much, you know, emotionally, mentally, and physically stimulates them. It just kind of gets them to a point to where they're like, all right, I want to do this forever. Like, this is my niche, this is my thing. I don't know anything else anymore because this is where I want to be. Those are the people that I kind of lean towards whenever it comes to, oh yeah, I'll work with you, I'll make stuff work. If you're just going to be about that life and not be passionate about that music, then that's nothing.
It's the circle you hang with.
Exactly.
And like y'all said, a lot of times it's just an image, just because that's what's cool
false
right now.
advertising. It's all false advertising.
But like a good example, like Young Boy, how he started off making all that type of music, but now he even ventures off into making pop songs. Like he had like a little emo phase. Like he couldn't do that when he was first coming up out of Baton Rouge. They'd been like, "What the hell is this nigga talking about?"
Right, nah.
But now that he's on top of Mount Rushmore, he can make whatever he want to make.
Exactly. You see people like Young Boy. Young Boy's making God knows how much money off of it. He's one of the most subscribed people on YouTube right now, making buku bank, and he's been on house arrest for almost a year. Like,
and as you go through life changes, you know, so you're gonna have different things you can talk about in your music.
Oh yeah.
True.
So that's the thing about growing up as well. I mean, it's just like you said, an example like Michael Jackson. That when he was young, he was in Jackson 5. I mean, what can he talk about, man? He's like a 12-year-old, 10-year-old boy. But as he gets older and goes through different life things, your music, you start being able to talk about different things. You know, he can't do Billie Jean when he was with the Jackson 5.
Right.
The old girl is saying he's the one, and he's 10, 12. You can get no girl prayer. I mean, unless you want to accuse somebody of that. I mean, when you're 10 or 12, but
if it ever gets that bad in there, that's
so I'm just saying, like, it's your life. You know, as you go through life, you can be able to talk about different things. You know, so
and that's another thing about being successful in the industry. To have longevity, you have to grow with your fans too.
Yeah.
Because if I'm a little boy and my favorite artist is 12, 13 years old, by the time I'm 30, I don't want to hear the same shit he was talking about when he was 12, 13 years old.
Exactly. That's kind of what Eminem's got a problem with that too. Like,
well, he was big with a problem at first. Justin Bieber kind of did at first. He kind of he when he was first came out. You know, we had the teen girls.
Yeah, and I did not like him when I was in middle school because all the girls like,
who the hell is this? You know, and all that stuff. But as he got a little older, he still had tried to do some of that music he was doing, and it wasn't really working out. Yeah, because those fans kind of got older. It was like, you know, whatever. I used to like him, but
right. But look at it now.
He changed his music up a little bit.
He started making it more personal.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it was just automatically generated by the pop machine. It was just him writing down his music with his people and getting it out there. That's exactly what he's doing now, and that's why he's got probably one of the best-selling albums that came out the last 5 years.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. He changed it up, and it helped out. But if he would have stayed in the path where he was going, it would have been.
That's why I brought up Eminem. That's exactly why I brought up Eminem, because Eminem's the dead opposite. It's like back in 1999, you see him talking about, you know, sticking people in trunks, you know, getting all crazy in clubs. Eminem said the same stuff on a recent album. Like, he's almost 50 years old. What is he doing talking about going into a club and doing that same stuff? Like, don't get me wrong, he's still one of the greatest to ever do it. Right. But like,
let me ask you about that. You say he's one of the greatest to do it, but do you think he's slightly overrated because of his skin color? Like, if Eminem was black and he's coming out in the early 2000s, late 90s, do you think he gets that same love?
I feel like,
or those same numbers? Because I believe that numbers do a lot.
Yeah, numbers are.
He came out around. That's how the real Slim Shady.
I'm not gonna say
that was like
somebody said
that was like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s.
So you think if he was black, he would have blew up though, like that?
Here's how somebody encapsulated that. Actually, they said that if Eminem was black, he'd be Twister.
I don't know who said that.
Damn, they wrong.
That's what I said. That's why. And I looked at it. I looked at it on the outside looking in a little bit, and I'm like, man, you know, low key. Comparing their careers and whatnot, they were working with big name artists, working with big name labels, and, you know, getting themselves together. One kind of profited a bit more than the other, but they still have their same niche that they were going for. Twista's still going. He's still on the underground scene, and he's still doing his thing. Much love to the legend. But Eminem, in contrast, he can drop probably the most dad jokiest of bars, and he'll have half of America saying, "Oh my Lord, that's so hard." I love it, but it's crazy.